Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Many of us are getting more spiritual in the last year or two. I don't know why that is, but I'm happy to see it. And when we say the word spiritual, many connect it with religion. It can be if you want, but that's not even what we're talking about. And if you become more spiritual, many believe that we are guided by the universe or maybe spirit guides, whatever that is. I also like to call it a spirit team. They're behind you. Who are these people? Are they even people? They're spirits. Let's learn more about that. She is a spiritual coach and can walk you on that journey and really open your eyes to a lot. She is Tracy Nagle, and she's back with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Steve. So good to be back. How are you?
Very well. Very well. And I'm happy we're talking about this. I started doing something recently, and I'm not going to get into it now because I want to introduce what we're talking about in terms of spirit guides. How do you define that?
A spirit guide. So this really can be your perception of something, but it's somebody that you call on from the universe to assist you. And so your spirit guides are people that are going to be with you all the time. And it can be loved ones that have crossed over. It can be just people that you've asked to come into your space. And I think that once you open your mind to the presence of spirit guides or angels, that's when you're going to kind of you lean into that, and that's when you start to have this group of people around you. This is almost like your own personal team that goes with you everywhere, and you can kind of like call on them for anything. And that's really just the beginning because we're talking about a whole couple different levels of things here. So yeah.
Who is around you?
I would definitely say my mom. Number one, my mom is around me. I mean, I think that goes with a lot of people. Maybe it was a parent or a relative that you typically start there. You can maybe feel their presence. Things may happen to you that would trigger you to say, "Hey, my mom normally does this, and this color showed up or this object." So you look and listen. But I typically think it does start with somebody who was closest to you that has passed.
Mm, 1 billion% agree. For me, it's my mom. Hands
Yeah,
down, the signs, and I'm a believer in ask for a sign, you'll get it.
yeah.
And I could go, I could fill, since she passed 5 years ago, 15 podcasts with the stuff very specific, very specific that she has thrown my way. Um, but I ask. It doesn't just show up. I usually ask. I say, "Come on, show me a sign. Maybe a challenging situation. Give me a specific sign that you're watching that it's going to be okay." And I get them, but they don't randomly show up. I ask. How's it work for you?
Same. I think you really do have to ask and pay attention and ask
Mm.
and be very specific, like you said. And my mom, it'll be 14 years here this December 30th, that she passed. And this was her favorite time of year. So my mom seems to be super active right now. Like things are happening. Even my dad called me and goes, I was looking out in the dining room and I saw something go from the left to the right. And I said, hey, like it has to be mom. This was her favorite time of year. She's just getting ready for things.
Mm.
So yeah, it's fascinating. And I believe that I even feel, I don't know about you, Steve, but when I feel any spirit guides get near me, I get chills, serious body chills on my arms, from head to toe. Often feel cold and feel chills. Do you feel anything?
Um, Sometimes, but more it's specific, very specific signs. Um, can you recall one that maybe you got from your mom?
It's absolutely smells a perfume that she wore, specifically a perfume that could not be mistaken whatsoever. And I would say, Mom, please let me know you're here. Please let me smell this perfume. And she would do it for me. And it was unmistakably her perfume. It's remarkable.
So, I get them and they're always with her name. And I'll give you an example of probably one of the more recent ones, but this one was an odd one. It wasn't her name. Well, it was. No, I take that back in a way. So I had a friend pass away that I did radio with for many years. Very successful with this
Mhm.
person. Sudden passing kind of surprised me, blew me away, and it was a Friday. I had learned the day before, and I'm like, I could go out and hang out with friends, but something is screaming inside, be by yourself. You need to take time by yourself.
Right.
So I grabbed my dog and I walked into town. I rarely take him into town. I got to get him out more often. But we go for a little walk and I'm vibing my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm kind of bummed out. Maria passed away. I just show me a sign that, you're listening and that, give me something. I walk to this restaurant bar, get myself a beer, sit down on the chair, and they're doing karaoke. And the first song that somebody selects, again, it's karaoke. They're picking a sing. I'm just sitting there. The first song was Bette Midler, The Rose.
Oh, wow.
That's my mom's name.
Right.
Second song that somebody picks to play was On the Radio by Donna Summer.
Very interesting.
Third song that somebody picks, this is in a span of 12 minutes, is Spirit of Radio by the band Rush. So
Okay.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, okay. That's why you pushed me to be here.
Yeah.
To me, that was my validation. All of those either mom or radio related songs. My mom, when I was still in high school, would drive me to my first radio job.
Okay.
She would take off from work. She would drive me every day and then pick me up when I was done. And then I thought about it. It was kind of weird that that song on the radio was the first time I was ever on the radio that year that song came out. I went on Amateur Hour. And the year after that is when The Rose came out by Bette Midler. And that's when I officially started my radio career. And again, it was all about radio, who that person passed away.
Yeah.
So to me, that was my sign.
That is
And
something.
it,
That is something. And here's another thing. My oldest granddaughter's name is Rose. And I wanted to tell you that before when we
wow,
were chatting. Yeah, my oldest granddaughter's name is Rose.
interesting. I'll bet you if we keep peeling layers, more would come up.
Right. They talk
More.
about the 7 degrees of separation. I think it's actually less.
I agree with you 100%. So, okay, that's relatives as your spirit team. Um, and I'm surprised you're talking about this because I recently started calling out to the team, the
Yeah.
guides. I would lay in bed. This is only last week. I would lay in bed, just close my eyes. And that's kind of where I just like reflect before I go to sleep. And I haven't gotten any connection, confirmation. Some tell me that they present themselves, whatever. I haven't, once I fell asleep, so maybe I missed it. I don't know. But what do you get? How do you know they're present aside from like your mom, a relative?
Right. Well, I asked them to come near me. And like I said, I do feel cold. I definitely pay attention to
Okay.
that. And I know they're not physical. They're not bound to the
Sure.
natural laws of
Sure.
this world. And I feel like they're brought here to help us go back into alignment with the universe. And so
Hmm.
when they come near me, like I said, I actually feel chills all over my body and I can tell that they're close. And I just say, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for coming close to me. And I just start talking. I just start talking to them like I talk to you and say, what do I need to know? And please let me know if I'm on the right track or anything like that. I just
Yes.
hold a conversation and wait for downloads or hits and know that the breadcrumbs that you follow that they give you, they're leading you the right way. They really are.
I agree with you. You need to look for the signs. They're
Yeah.
there. We just don't see them. Archangel Michael. So somebody told me one of the more popular ones. Um,
Yes.
Protector. That's what I understand. And somebody told me that they've actually heard from him, but he had a different name, but it was him.
Okay.
This is just what somebody shared.
Okay.
Tell me about these angels.
Okay, so there's a lot of archangels, okay? So we'll just go over a couple of them since I think there's like 7 major archangels. And so probably the most well-known that you talked about is Archangel Michael. And so if you need protection of any kind, Archangel Michael is going to be the person to come help you. He is like God's super messenger, and he offers courage and guidance when you feel lost. And he's probably the most popular, most famous
Why do you
that you
think
know
that
of.
is? I don't mean to cut you off, but why? Like you
I
always hear
truly
that
don't,
name.
and I feel like he was one of the main archangels. So I believe in Christianity or even Catholicism, there's only 2 or 3 that are actually recognized, and he is one of them. But I truly don't know why he's the most popular. But you'll hear about Gabriel, you'll hear about
Oh yeah.
Michael and Azrael. But I think that Michael's presence is the one that most people tend to know about when it comes to spirituality or just needing that overall protection. He's almost like the clear quartz or the selenite of the archangels, you know?
Mm.
He can really be your umbrella archangel. So yeah, really, I mean, there's so many that you can invoke, but like I said, he's probably one of the more known. Raphael is going to be the next, and he's really like your healer. He's going to be the person that will always restore your inner peace, you know, so you can call on Raphael when you need harmony in your life, when things seem out of alignment, when you maybe feel a little bit low, call on Raphael. He can help you create a better vision, like where you're going. The next one I think is going to be Gabriel, and he is the one that I think that he helps you put things better into communication. So if you're having, you don't have to be a famous communicator or anything like that, but if you have trouble putting things into words, even putting together a prayer or putting together an invocation, anything, you can kind of call upon the powers from these amazing archangels.
Hmm. I've heard those names before, but I honestly totally forgot about them. And didn't know that they had special roles. So that's
Right.
super interesting to
Right.
see.
Well, if you think about saints like Saint Jude, you know, you pray to Saint Jude for this or Saint Christopher. So almost think about how you would pray to your different saints. You know, you just turn that around in the spiritual world and you have your archangels. And the
Yeah, I
difference is
didn't think
rank and
about it.
responsibility. That is the difference between archangels and angels is really rank and responsibility. So in the spiritual world, archangels are going to rank higher than an angel. But if you go to the other end of the spectrum, archangels are going to rank second to lowest. So in my world, though, they're pretty high. They're these like super messengers.
Hmm. What was it, Saint Anthony? If you lose something, you pray to Saint Anthony and he
Yes,
finds it
yeah,
for you.
the patron of lost things, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. And honestly, it's worked.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, in St. Jude, you know that people definitely are more familiar with the saints possibly than the archangels, and it depends what your background is. The archangels, it's non-denominational once again, so this really can be called upon by anybody. I think that if you want to follow your inner guidance, follow those breadcrumbs, follow the messages of the universe. These archangels or spirit team is here to help you. Who wouldn't want to have an amazing otherworldly team of guides to give you answers or signs or affirmations or help validate things for you? It can be
Is
very powerful.
1 billion%. Even just the belief in something bigger than yourself. That's my understanding of spirituality. You're believing in something that's above you, bigger than you, whatever you want to believe. If it's this pen is bigger than both of us, Tracy, I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
this is then that supports you. Great. Some believe this thing called the universe is bigger than us and it wants the best for us. And that's why things happen a certain way. Is there a certain way that you're supposed to reach out to your guides, be it, angels, archangels? Should it be at nighttime? Should it be before bed? Should it be just in, times of trouble?
I think it can be any of those, but I think importantly that you truly have to set good intention. Like you have to set a positive intention, and you have to say that, I'm lost or confused. I don't know who I'm asking for help, but these are the problems and my woes, and I'm just asking on my spirit team or any archangels that are around me to come close to me and protect me and guide me and be open. You have to be open to the signs, synchronicities, like I said, these breadcrumbs that I talk about, and you have to put those magical spiritual glasses on. You have to.
Hmm.
Because if you don't take the little hits, you're never going to get the bigger hits.
I believe that's so totally true. You have to be aware, and we're so busy with things going on that we don't take the time. That's why I look forward to laying in bed like I never used to, just sitting there and just quietly reflecting before I go to sleep. And that's even sometimes I vibe my mom, and that's where I get stuff. Might not get it at that moment. Could be the
Right.
next morning. It could be a day later,
Absolutely.
but it shows up because
But
I'm
that's a
aware.
powerful time to do that. Like you said, when you're kind of disconnecting, you don't have any interruptions. You don't have a lot of extra sensory perception things going on around you. The lights are off, you're calmer. I mean, I think with anything, that's going to be a better time to try to connect and be more soulful and spiritual. And so, yeah, in a meditative state, I think the closer you are to being in a very peaceful, harmonious state, the better you are going to have with a connection, any kind of connection. get in the right state of mind, be open, ask for them to come near you, ask for them to help you, or just talk to them. There doesn't need to be any special prayer. There's not a right way or a wrong way. I think they're always nearby you. And they transcend time and space as with all other things. So they're omnipresent. They can be everywhere.
What about tarot cards? What about oracle cards? Are you a believer in those?
100%. I think they're amazing. I mean, I can do readings for myself, but I truly don't know. I know that there's amazing apps out there, and I know that there's other coaches out there who do amazing readings. I'll do readings for myself and I can interpret, but absolutely 100% believe that tarot can truly deliver messages to you. And I believe that they can go to groups of people. So you kind of take what resonates and leave what doesn't, kind of thing. There is tons of coaches online that do this. They do an amazing job. And I utilize them every day. I truly do. I try
Mm.
to play with the cards myself, but there's people out there that understand the astrology, understand the astronomy, understand all of that. The house rising, it's complex.
It's complex, and I got simple cards just to
Yeah,
play around with, if you will.
yeah,
Um, they call them angel cards. Kyle
yeah.
Gray is the guy who designed these cards and a bunch of other cards as well. And I'll just, I'll think of something and I'll shuffle and I'll pull three and I'll just think about it for a while. But to your point, and even though there's call it a legend, and that a booklet you can thumb through to get further clarification, it's very simple. I mean, there's one card that says no. That's
Right,
it. But
right.
they're angel cards. And I think it's also the intention you put into it. What are you trying to get
Absolutely.
out of it?
Absolutely. And I don't think that they have to be, I think a lot of people kind of place doom and gloom or, they're scared of those things. But again, if you're using it with the right intention and you're using it with true higher purpose and alignment, you're not going to get negativity. That's really not what this is about.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, this is all about dispelling and getting rid of negativity. So, but I think tarot used properly and or Ouija. I really don't know anything about like that kind of thing
Yeah.
or going beyond Oracle. I mean, I've talked
Same.
to people, but I think that there's so many modalities and mediums out there to connect. And tarot is one of them, and I think it's super powerful and fascinating. And I've had far too many people do readings for me. Have you ever heard of soul contracts? Reading soul contracts.
Totally.
This
Totally.
is another one. Fabulous stuff.
Mm.
Fabulous stuff.
I've just scraped the surface on the soul contract, but well, instead of me explaining it, what's your belief?
Well, okay, so the soul contracts, the same things. So soul contracts are people that are going to continue, people or things that are going to continue to come into your life until you learn your lessons, right? So during your ascension or your spiritual awakening, these are the things that you're going to recognize that you don't want to keep repeating these patterns because you're going to keep going through these bad soul contracts. And I think that you can terminate soul contracts even, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that there's ways to cut ties with certain contracts in your life, but really it is about almost reading your life story through your soul is really what it is.
Do you believe, and now my mom always used to say this, and by the way, lately I've been hearing different phrases, call them cliches, whatever you want to call them, where, our moms, dads, whatever, would say these things, and you're like, what? Shut up. You're 20 years old and you hear these phrases, and you think to yourself, you're old. What do you know? Until
Mhm.
you get older, and then you hear them again. And for me, the lessons that need to be learned, my mother always used to say, just go with the flow, go with the flow.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I, poo-pooed that then. Now I look at it as go with the flow, and I would love your input on this. To me, it means picture a river and you're flowing down the river, and that's the river of life. And you go this direction over here, you're going that way no matter what. That's the
Right.
lesson. You have to do this. If you try to buck the system and you grab a branch on the shore, or you start swimming the other way, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go. The universe is going to turn you around, and you're going to go with the flow because that's the way you're supposed to go in
Yeah.
life. And along the way, maybe it's not unpleasant. There's going to be lessons. but you have to go and learn those lessons as you go with the current. What do you think?
It's 100% true, and the lessons can be savage. They can be amazing and good, and you know that you're learning and growing, but they can also be, people don't talk about how traumatizing it can be to
Mm,
kind of like look inward and, maybe atone for things that you've thought or things that you've said in your life. And so that journey, like I said, that, like you said, that river that you're following, you're going to learn some lessons, and you're going to have to take some hard looks at your own life and yourself.
mm.
Because your soul contract is going to stay the same if unless you keep learning and growing. And that's really what this is about: learning and growing, aligning to your highest purpose. So you want to keep growing and getting out of old, redundant soul contracts so you can keep ascending, basically.
Is there a way to realize what your soul contract is? Can I hire an attorney for this? No, I'm kidding. How do we know? How do we know what's in store? I hear the Akashic records. That's maybe loosely connected to soul contracts, but is there any way to know what the contract is for you?
I don't think so. I think that there's people out there that read them, and I think they have that intuitive ability or perception, to be able
Mm.
to read it, almost like people that can read your aura, those kinds of things. I think that there's people out there that you might have to seek out, and I'm kind of glad it's not an attorney, Steve.
Yeah, yeah, we have $500 an hour.
Right. Yeah,
Let's
no, but there are people out there that do that. I think it's pretty fascinating. There's so many things I think that are coming to light in spirituality.
mm.
Thank goodness is no longer viewed as a parlor trick. That's one of my favorite
Yes,
things.
I agree. That being said, that led me to what I wanted to ask you with like a minute left. Somebody in their journey, maybe they're hearing, watching this, maybe they've been inspired elsewhere as well. And they're thinking, yeah, I need to get more spiritual. I want, this stuff is interesting. I believe, at least face value that there's something out there. What's the starting point on a spiritual journey for someone? Is there anything?
Being open and asking the questions and just knowing, just that knowing and that tug in your inner center that says there's more out there, follow this. It's literally that tug that the universe is saying, come over here, follow me, follow these breadcrumbs, and saying, you know what, I realize that there has to be more. And the wanting and knowing to follow a different journey, to follow a different path. And it's enlightening, and it's crazy, and it's fun, and it's overwhelming. I mean, it's the universe is a huge place, so it's very hard, and there's no laws to the universe, right? So it's kind of very hard to narrow things down. You just have to help each person individually on their journey, depending on what they're going through.
Do you feel here? I wasn't going to ask you another question, but now I'm curious. Do you feel that your intuition, your gut feeling is part of your spiritual journey or spiritualism? 100%.
100%. I live by my intuition. It's a gift. I'm telling you, it's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you on that. And I, I know when I'm not listening. Sometimes I want to test it. Sometimes I
Yeah.
just don't want to listen to it. Let me just try this out over here. I know it's wrong. It already told me, don't do that. Or the answer.
Right.
Here's the answer. Why are you
Yeah.
pushing it? Why are you trying to, put the square peg round hole situation?
Yeah. You're
Just
just being
listen.
human. Just being
Okay,
human.
maybe that's what it is.
We buck the
Yeah.
system, right? We wanna push buttons and see what works and what doesn't work. That's just innately who we are. But like you
Mm,
said, the universe is going to force you back into that. It's going to force you back into that river the right way. It just is.
yeah. Yeah. And maybe part of it is, my skepticism, my let me just test it. I know you're right, but I'm just gonna I'll have a gut feeling about a situation or maybe meeting somebody, haven't met them for the first time, maybe a business connect, whatever it is. I've already thought about how it's gonna go and what it's gonna be. And it's 99% of the time, it's that.
Yeah.
Part of me, part of me says, did you manifest it to be that way? But the greater part of me says, no, you just knew.
Yeah.
And you should have listened and either canceled the appointment because you knew it wasn't going to be beneficial. But like you said, I'm going to just see one more time. There's always that one more time. Let me check it out
Hmm.
one more time. And then, now you got you have a whole, I guess it's your proof of your intuition that it's right. You're compiling a book of like, oh, well, you know what? Here, this is the proof right over here.
Right.
It's a wonderful journey though, once you have your eyes open to it
Yeah,
all.
it's a wonderful road. It's very enlightening. There's a lot to learn. It can be overwhelming, but man, there is you'll never stop learning. You just will never stop learning. It's fascinating stuff.
Every time I talk with you, I learn something.
Awesome. Good.
It's really cool. What's the best way to connect with you? If somebody is thinking about starting their spiritual journey, wants to make some changes or just have some realizations?
Yeah, contact me on any social media. So you can find me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at the Shift Spiritual Coach, and just direct message me online, and we can get started from there.
What's the shift, right? That's what it's called?
The shift,
spirit.
yep.
Yeah. And that's what we're looking to do.
Absolutely.
Make a shift.
You betcha. And that's really where the name came from my own personal shift.
I call it a journey, but it's a shift. It really is. Thank you so much for being here today, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you so much, Steve. Happy holidays to you too. Looking forward to the next time.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.